Hello, Art17 here, and we're still in week 2. So, we are actually at assignment number 4, which is upside down drawing. It does not mean to draw anything upside down, your own upside down version of something. It does mean that I'm going to show you an example of what to draw upside down in particular. So, in the past, a lot of students made mistake of just reading that and not looking at the video and just drawing something upside down and sending it to me. So that is incorrect. Don't do that. Instead, we'll be drawing this. Now, notice it has no shading. It's only lines. This is a assignment for line drawing and matching up patterns of shapes. The reason it's upside down is because it's working the right side of your brain, which is more analytical perception. And I'll also show you a handout of the upside down right side of the brain, left side of the brain, take on things. I'll include that. But supposedly, when you're drawing something upside down, your subconscious doesn't pick it up that it's a man sitting. It's more of just shapes that are matched up together, like these shapes to this shape to that shape to this shape to that shape to these shapes and on and on. And so you're putting that together, working the right side of your brain. This is the idea. And one thing to keep in mind is you want to fit most of this, if not all of it, on the paper. So you can start anywhere, but I would say consistently start working either from up down or down up or from one side to the other, rather than trying to do a little of this and a little of this and a little of this in different areas. It may not match up that way. So look at your paper, determine maybe how big the head is or whatever you're going to start this shape here, and put that in, and then map the other ones to it. Like, okay, how big is this compared to that? How big is this compared to that? How long is this compared to that? How fat is that compared to this? And you map it up and put it together as you go. And it's just lines. There's no shading to this one. And you are to, you can print this out, but put it upside down and draw it upside down. Okay? And you can send it to me upside down or right side up. I don't care which one. It's not as important as it turns out real great or something. It's the practice. And so it's kind of a fun one. There's a couple of ones in assignments that are kind of fun, but they're challenging as well. So this one is the upside down drawing. Draw it upside down. Place it upside down. Draw it upside down. Okay? And don't cheat. I'll know if you're cheated. Because I've seen these many times. And I'll know if you did it upside down or not. But please do. Challenge yourself. It's fun. It's a fun one. It doesn't matter how it turns out exactly. It can be very wonky and very off shape because it sometimes ends up that way because you're drawing it upside down. It's the practice of using the right side of your brain and that your subconscious isn't recognizing that it is someone in a chair because it's upside down. It doesn't immediately know that. They supposedly, okay. I don't know, maybe your brain does, but everybody's brain a little different. But typically, and on an average, this is supposedly what's going on. All right, so that's assignment number 4. The homework is to draw your own feet. Now notice I did say feet, right? Feet is 2 feet. If I said foot, it would be 1. One of the mistakes students make is they send me a drawing of a foot when I said feet, and all the examples had feet, 2 feet. So there's 2 feet, and these preferably are your feet. So take a picture of them, or have someone take a picture of them, a photo, in some position with each other. They can be crossed or right next to each other, either way. What I want you to try to do is get the correct proportions. So you're going to sort of map out how big the toes are compared with the arch and the heel and possibly the ankle. Okay? And then there's all kinds of bones and veins in there that are all going to be represented by light and dark shadowing and shading. And there may be a cast shadow on the floor. So I want you to notice all that about your feet. In the light source you've picked, which should be a single light source. So from the window or a lamp, but not both. Okay? If it's outside and the sun is directly above you, that's not a really good one either. I would choose some light coming from slightly one side or the other, left or right, top left or right, or if it's really sunset or you have a window next to you, that's fine. But straight on light isn't going to show all this dark stuff in here, so it's not going to be easy to show a shape and to show 3D appearance, because it's void of a lot of the shadow areas, because the light is right on it. It's not creating a lot of shadow areas. So that's why you want to have a single light source on one side or the other. It's going to create all these dark areas in between the toes. Even the toenails have dark and light areas. Okay? Look at all the dark and light areas, and there's very dark, and there's midtones, and very light areas. That's what's going to make the shape of your feet happen. But you have to notice it. You have to look for it. And it's there if you really look. It's going to be in between where the toes and bones come out, and veins possibly here and there. Very few people have like flat feet that have no contours or dips and folds and crevices. Certainly all through the toes and around the sides, and then you have these sort of wrinkle areas, and then the heel and the ankle. They're all represented by these dark and light and mid-tone shading tones. Okay? And mostly don't try to put a border line around everything, because even though there is sort of a slight borderline here, it didn't really actually have to be there. And it's not there in reality. If you look at your feet, there's no borderline around anything. It's just a bunch of shades that end somewhere, and then you have your background. Because there's no borderline drawn around your foot anywhere. They put it into this drawing. I understand why, but it's really not accurate. If you really want to draw something accurate, you wouldn't put that borderline. Like this one does not have a borderline around anything. This is shading right here. A very thin shading line, and very thin shading lines on the toenails, and just shading that meets one and the other. And then so they have this dark sort of shadow in between, and in between the toes, which really brings the rest of the skin tone out, that is lighter than that dark area underneath. But here it's a little lighter. This is actually a little darker than the skin tone as well. So it works out really well if you want to add, and I think you should add some shading to the background or the surface your feet are on, because that's really going to bring out the other tones. But notice which one's lighter or darker. And typically, I think the surface might be darker, but if it isn't, then put it lighter and have the skin tone be darker. But really, they're going to get this accomplished by having all the light and dark and mid-tone shading going on and the right proportions. So really study and get a good light sketch of your foot and toes and where everything is before you start shading. Okay? And all these veins up here and stuff, that's all just light and dark shading marks. If you look and you notice where they are and you put them onto your drawing with the side of your pencil and the overhand grip, mostly shading is done with the side of the pencil, a little bit with the tip, but not a sharp tip, a rounded tip may help you shade and then buff it out with a smudger or a rag or a Q-tip or your own finger. Some people use a paintbrush to smudge, a real hard one, like a thick, short one that's kind of rough, and then you can move the graphite around that way and kind of smudge it out, and you won't have scratchy lines because most people's skin is not scratchy looking like texture of scratch marks. From your shading, you're going to create a texture that looks that way. And you really want a smooth look and a gradual tone change. See, right in here, it goes from light to darker to light very gradually. There's no sharp edges and scratchy marks. It's all smooth. Okay, so try that. Look at these examples. Let me see if I have any more. That's 3 anyway. Anytime you want, you can go to Bing or Google Images and put in like foot drawings, feet drawings. Don't put foot because I want feet. I want 2 feet. 2. Don't send me 1. 2. All right. And you can look and get examples. That's where I got these actually. And there's more. But certainly you want that shading so it's not flat looking. All right. Let's leave it there. And we'll go back to this. I will upload this as well. So look for this drawing. It might be in with the syllabus, and the schedule is in there too, under syllabus to print out. I might put it there, or I might put it in the actual. I don't know if it's going to work that way, but look for it. If you can't find it, let me know. It should be in the syllabus, and if it's not, then it'll be with the other assignments, like under this video. I'll see if I can post it there. I'm not sure if it'll come out. I might have to put it in with the syllabus, but it'll be there. If you can't find it, let me know, and I'll send it to you in an email or something like that, okay? All right, so that's it for this week, and we're going to talk with you next week. Please try to get whatever week 1 assignments were to me. A lot of you haven't even tallied in. Like a third of this class hasn't sent me anything or even responded. So you really need to do that, because by next week, I think they want me to drop any students that haven't responded or sent anything or done any of the assignments or talked to me at all in an email. So you really need to communicate if you haven't already. And then whatever week 1, those 3 assignments, get those to me by the end of this week, week 2, and so on. That's how we're going to work it. All right, we'll talk with you later.